Welcome back. We're being joined by Tochukwu McFoy. He's known as Dr. Foy. He's an entertainment, marketing, and brand strategist.
Yes.
And he's here to talk to us about this creative space that we've always talked about. Welcome to the program, Dr.
Thank you
Foy.
so much. Thank you.
Let's get, well, I don't want to go to that particular video. We'll get to that video. You know, it's one seller and very good singers, we must say. Incredible. So you were just like, is that a cameo?
So it's a cameo.
I almost said video vixen.
It's a cameo, but I impact the Christian family creative economy. So I'm working with TY, great man, this guy. So just because there's a space for them in this season, and yeah.
So maybe that's a good place to start, because there's been that controversy as to whether or not there's such a thing as gospel music, how people who are faith-based can operate within the quote-unquote secular space. In fact, there's even a dichotomy within that space, if you look at it. So maybe if you're not sounding like a Nathaniel or a Dunsin or a Theophilus or all of those people, it looks like your gospel is not gospel in Nigerian sense. How far reaching? So maybe you speak to some of those arguments.
Yes. So I would say that the issue is the interpretation of what gospel is. Most people don't know that secular means not in religion. It doesn't mean bad. So for example, birthday is a secular concept. Wedding is a secular concept. Food is a secular concept. It's not in religion, it's not spiritual secular. So, and I think God wants us to always be in everything, in birthdays, in parties, and bring his concept, bring his ideas in it. So that's the first. The second one is that because of who funds the industry, the gospel industry, there's a bias. So the church likes a particular sound, worship sound that would help the service, and it's fair. But we also need to understand that aside Sundays, there's Monday and there's Tuesday and there's Wednesday and there's Thursday and there's Friday, and we need sounds that can appeal to TikTok and Spotify and Instagram, things that can align outside Sunday. So there's a space for both of them. It's just we have to take it on with joy, with love, with, you understand? No, they're both valid. It's just how we approach it.
And if we could follow up on talk about the validity.
Yeah.
If the gospel is life itself, shouldn't it be going after all of the other issues
of course
as well?
Yeah.
We could talk about drug abuse,
everything,
climate change,
mental health.
Yes, but we don't see, gospel artists owning that space.
Yeah.
They're staying with the spirituality of it.
Yes.
But the gospel is life.
Yeah, and that's why. So I used to work for MTV years ago. I used to work with Viacom Paramount. I used to work for Budweiser, and I used to work in the lifestyle space, and I realized that there's such a vacuum in that space. I used to work as head of content, head of production, head of business across different industries. And the median age of Nigeria is 1920. So it's a youth culture. And to speak to the youth, you must be in their face, with their sound, in their conversation, with their tone, with their language. But I think that people are rising up to take on that ecosystem generally, yes.
I want us to get a bit personal with you.
Yes.
We're talking about your work.
Yeah.
Doctor, is it like the doctor?
No, medical.
You're a medical doctor.
Medical
so
practice
just to put it on the record, you're a medical doctor.
Medical doctor.
So whatever happened?
My parents can't be watching this.
Okay, Daddy, Mom, please turn off the TV. Or turn the volume down.
So I read medicine. I think the greatest gift from medicine was I met my wife.
And that's it.
She's a doctor. We both did our housemanship in Yaba Military Hospital. I met my wife. She's still in the medical space. That's major. That's a life.
I need to pause you for a moment. So you got MBBS and you got WIFE.
My brother, which one is more? They're both 4 now. But then I also, I must say this, I have a passion for mental health.
Right.
And it's a key conversation in this era, mental health. I have a few I've done a few courses in mental health. And there's a major play with the barrage of media and the younger ones. There's a major play in depression. There's a major play in burnout, in trauma, in addiction. So yeah, so I plan to use entertainment and the creative economy to drive some mental health projects, and that's a good win for me.
So when did you figure out that this medicine is not medicine? I don't know why. Okay, it was Jeff that thought that and said, "Oh, it's the creative economy that is creative in."
In my house job, I got a call from Amin Musali, the head of Cool FM, and he was like, "We need a doctor to come and do a health show." So I did a health show with Dr. Kemi. It was called Body and Soul, and in the health show, one day Nedu and those comedians they missed their show on. Then it was called Cool TV,
right.
And they asked me to anchor their show, and I started anchoring a proper night show, and I did that for about 2 years, and then I got a call from MTV, Alex Okosi, to come and head content in that.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So this creative economy, we always talk about it. In fact, you hear the minister say it's the new oil.
Yes.
As it were. And when you think about crude oil, I know there are sad tales, but then the potential as well. Crude oil alone, we've seen what it's done for countries. I'm not going to mention, I'm not comparing this morning. So how do we properly harness this new oil? First, we don't want to make the mistakes we're making with crude oil.
Yeah.
We want to ensure that we properly explore, refine, and sell it to the world to boost our economy and our people. Last year,
the leading job industry aside agriculture was the creative economy. $12.4 billion to be made in 2026. So it's a major industry. And it's big because of three things. Number one is Africa's time.
Right.
Number two is, do you know that they've remade Game of Thrones, Dragon, no stories. Africa has incredible stories. The Benin Kingdom, the empires. So there's potential here. The issue will be infrastructure. And infrastructure, not in the poetic, not what we, government, no. Infrastructure is the first, insight. We need insight to know that this is a major industry. That's one. Two, we need private, government, public partnerships. We need JVs. We need to say, you know what, give us space. So I'm working with the Jos government. We've been able to speak to Wyclef Jean. He's building a creative space in Jos. We've done some meetings with them already. I was in Jos last week, and the governor is Governor Caleb is working. So he says we have space, we have creatives. So it's about those kind of JVs, joint ventures, but it must be based on insights, not just quick shut the youth up. No. It must be because that is the future. Why Forex? If we can. It's sad to say that when I was in MTV, I knew about this Afrobeat thing. It's been owned by the West, not Nigeria. It's situated in America. In the Spotify rankings, Africa is paid the least peanuts based on streaming. So we need to understand that we have to have insights. The government, the public, those investments, the banks, and it's a long-term play. In 10 years, 15 years, that can be our main play.
So I'm wondering what should be our strategy as Africa. So if you look at the West, there is a sense of collaboration or a point of meeting between everything. Policy, technology, so you have Apple and then you have the streaming and all of this platform. But we seem to focus more on content. We don't even own platforms as much as possible. And which is why you're saying it's situated outside here. Because people have raised the question, are we really making that money that we say we're making at the end of the day?
We're not.
So what should we be doing? Because talk is cheap. Action is what people can verify.
I would say the India model. So India, for example, last year did the biggest numbers in Amazon. And the money was made in India.
How did they do that?
They, as we say, years ago, they dipped with, they increased technology. That's number one. Then number two, their youths have buying power. we don't have buying power.
Because of the numbers?
No, numbers and opportunities.
We have the numbers also. We have a 200 million strong population.
And we hear that by 2050 will be 500 million. That's what they say in Nigeria. So, but we need to now empower the youths to make money. Now, the creative economy is not only platform, is that we can export graphics designers, visual designers, 3D animators. Most people don't have, do you know that my friend said in Germany, every 3 months he sees a new Nigerian software engineer, jackpot in quotes. So me, it's about empowering the youths with technology, that's number one. Number two, the government policies about Nigerian-made content, African-made content. Number three is seeing that the play is not only Nigeria, the play is Africa. Africa needs to see ourselves differently first, then the world will see us differently.
So I'm wondering, that it's a tricky question. What do we do with Yahoo boys in this context? Because they are very smart.
Yeah.
For somebody to fleece somebody of the kind of money we hear they do, it needs intelligence. So how do we bring, because it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
How do we make the most of Yahoo boys? So not legalize their practice, I must say. You know, just redirect them.
I would say that the goal is to plant new seeds, not to try and change the old minds. The old minds have tasted money. They have been, in quote, corrupted.
They are set in their ways.
Yeah, set in their ways. So, but guess what? The next 15 years of boy is coming. The next 18 years of boy is coming. The next 17 years of boy who's about to get a laptop is coming. Is that we need to create avenues, hubs, nexus hubs that can drag them in and show them it's possible. You're right. I was in America last month, and someone was telling me that there's a guy in India who was able to help the medical play of Maryland, DC, because he was outsourcing all the healthcare tech parts to India, and young kids were empowered. So we also have to get the diaspora guys involved, because they have seen the global world, they have seen the potentials, they have seen the possibilities.
You know, listening to you is getting me excited. I don't know about Kayode and Jeffrey. You talked about, you know, the partnership that you are initiating with the Plateau State government,
yes,
bringing in Wyclef Jean.
Yes.
It reminds me of what former president photographer is doing with his creative hub,
yes,
in Unilag.
Madhouse.
Yes, Madhouse. So where is this leading us, such that we know that we're not moving without motion, movement without motion? If India is making so much from Amazon, we also have the numbers.
Yes.
But as far as the creative economy is concerned, we're always moving towards seeking the validation of the West. Either it's through Oscars, or it's through Grammys, or it's through BET Awards. You know, for instance, where are our own structures besides AMFVCA? There's nothing else, you know, that is the platform of reward for Nigerian creatives. Now,
I'm going to be very sincere. Now, I'll bring back my mental health part to it. Thankfully, the Headies is back from Atlanta to Nigeria, because I didn't know what was going on. But there's a word I learned in mental health. It's called collective consciousness. It means that if all of us here agree that this cup is blue, it becomes blue in our minds, because of consciousness is about an agreement. But the worst kind is something called collective unconsciousness. It's when some people use media and wisdom to plant seeds and begin to sell an idea to the collective unconsciously. The West have that power. They've been able to sell Hollywood, they've sold music, they've sold Grammys. So collectively, unconsciously, we think that is the power. And to change collective unconsciousness, it takes time. It takes people agreeing with the government, it takes policy, it takes a leader, it takes leadership, it takes something like Mandela to drive that. Because the truth is, I work with artists, I work with creatives. All they want to do is go abroad. Because collectively, for years, we've been sold over and over again that that's where it works. But I go there, and they are singing Afrobeats. I've seen white boys dancing Afrobeats. I'm like, kele kele, Kelly, I don't want to Kelly. So yeah, so that's the scope.
Collective consciousness.
Yes.
It's interesting, particularly when you now look at the future. So the seed analogy you gave is quite important. If it will be 400 million in 2050 or between 3 and 4, then we need to start planting those seeds because it will become a forest. And hopefully it's a forest we can control. So I want you to speak to the young person out there or the old person out there. We're not leaving you out because you've seen these days that even older ones are very savvy with social media and they have a gift. Or they think they have a gift and they want to go through that process of putting out their content, refining themselves, making something out of their lives, and maybe going to medical school as well. Education is very important. What is the, as we always say, the toolkit they need? How do they need to progress, approach their skills, their talents, social media, and the rest?
I'll say that 4 years ago in MTV, no, 7 years ago, we would never have predicted that a guy called Nas Boy singing, one comedian on Instagram is doing streams on the same level as Joey Boy. The world has changed. There's potential. There's no middleman. Work your TikTok, work your Instagram, understand it, be consistent. Don't create for Africa or for Nigeria, create for the world. So always think global, but always act local. That means local, global. And secondly, I'll say that we need collectives. So try and, if you can, get a team. That's it.
Who are the people two things I need to follow up with. Who are those people that should be on your team? One. Two is, how can they start to monetize at different levels? So there's a level of, you have thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers, millions of followers. You know, there are different
levels,
So how can you monetize from 1,000 followers? If that's possible, how can you monetize at 50,000 followers, hundreds of thousands? Leave the millions people. Let's start
on your team, a person who can help you make your content into cash. So find people who are strategic, that are not like you, but are for you. Now, most creatives love creativity. They love to express. They are poetic, abstract. So find a person that's not like you in that way, but it's for you in how can we make this thing business? How can we sell this content?
Well, how would you know those people that are for you?
Friendships, church, communities, you have to find them. People that have interest in your work, you have to find them. That's one. And then monetizing doesn't always have to be streaming. Monetizing is if you can give value. So streaming is important. We've had issues with YouTube and Facebook collecting back-end cash, but it's been worked out. But I'll say, just can I give people value? And that's a lecture on its own.
I know you talked about mental health. So let's help some people with their mental health. Since you're a doctor, proper doctor for the record. How do you help someone who you clearly know from the outset that this person doesn't have talent? Or is making an effort? No. I was on radio for almost 10 years. So people walk up to you and I know that you don't have it. But I can't say it to your face. It depends on. But you can see real effort.
Man.
They put in resources.
Because this is what I go through a lot with the Christian
They put in a lot of energy and resources because they have expectation. But you and I know it will never be met.
This is a frank question. The answer is very subjective. For some people, the reason why they do they do their work is it gives them meaning, not necessarily for the consumer. Those people don't try. Just let them be. It will keep, because people see there's a difference between meaning and definition. A definition is a handle that I give you to interact with me. So I say I'm a doctor for your sake. But meaning is what keeps me alive. So some people that, when you see that it's their meaning, you pull back. But for those who want it as commercial, man, just tell them it's not going to work. Help them, because since their meaning is commercial, it's trying to sell their product. It's not going to work. So when I know them, when I see that this person is singing just for the love of music, for his own self-esteem, I help. But when he wants to start, I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't. And I have in my team, Energize Music Central, I have a lawyer who is brutal. brutal, have that the lady, just like, sorry, this is crap. She's just very tough on you, and
ouch.
Ouch.
What's going to happen to her mental health?
But because she knows that you are about commerce.
Right.
Yeah, it's about trying to understand and sieve through it.
So there are two parallel lines. They
Yes.
don't meet, right?
Yes.
Well, even though I'm trying to hope against hope there. But I'd like to follow up on Kayade's question, particularly because you are a content creator,
yes.
and you know a lot of the content that you put out, besides your music, on themes that help us to think
yes.
and reflect on our values.
Yes.
And surprisingly, it's the content that do not necessarily help people to think. Things that just help make us go happy and lucky are the things that get attention and followership.
Yes.
At that level, at your own level, how do you begin to monetize? Perhaps you could share with us your own personal experience.
Okay, so so one thing that helped me with medicine, so I must give medicine credits. So I remember in my first year, it was so hard. So I sent a note to my father, a letter, that I've left medicine and I've joined MassCom. And I remember sitting down with a lady called Annika Vincent, and my father came into class the next week and took me home. And what he said was that the reason why I want you to finish medicine is because I need you to have staying power as a person, have staying power as a person. So with the creative economy, I have staying power. And this is what I mean. I've been able to compartmentalize my life. For money, I work with brands. I work with banks. Some banks, I handle their end-to-end branding, themes, concepts. For top clients too. Some clients need branding, visuals, and all that, just the whole shebang. And then for mind shifts, I don't want to monetize it because I understand the reason why I'm doing it is that if I get 3 people to change their minds, that's impact. So this is my theme: impact first, influence, then income. With that.
So when you're not creating content, you're chasing the brands outside of social media.
Money.
Okay.
Yeah.
The whole shebang.
The whole shebang.
I was going to say that maybe you can also create an aspect of medicine. Oh, there you go. That's your father.
He was 70 last week.
Ah.
Yeah. Is he happy now with you?
Well, at least I'm paying the bills. I have grandchildren. Everyone's happy. So yeah, we're good.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
that's my wife.
that's your wife.
Yeah, we know your wife.
That's your WIFE.
Yes, my
Yeah.
You got to join your MBBS.
Yes.
The degree after the
main degree.
the main degree.
Oh, this is your family?
Yeah.
Such a beautiful family.
Yes.
You know, I was going to ask them, or say, that maybe you can also champion the creation of the creative medicine aspect.
Well, yes.
Because you were talking about mental health,
Yes.
and I know that the creative space will play a huge role in that. So
Yes.
maybe you can champion that. We can see Dr. Because you are the energizer.
So I had spoken
The energy man.
I had spoken to a Proco doctor.
Right.
We're working on something. It's called Proco Health, where we use comedy, fun, humor to drive healthcare. So I remember speaking to the Jadi. She's the film. She shot Lagos Gangs or Gangs of Lagos, Oshibero.
Yeah.
And years ago, and we're like, let's do a healthcare, a medical. So there's possibilities when you can join both.
Dr. Foy, there's a lot to talk about with you. We track your work, even though some of us are lazy on the social media.
Yeah.
But we'd just like to be
But you
there.
can't miss Dr.
Some of
Foy.
us, some of them.
No, I give up. I'm going to get better. I'm working at it.
Yeah.
You know.
No, but you don't need to be there. You're here. You're here.
Thank you.
You're here.
At least that's an encouragement.
That's good for his mental health.
Yeah, I have to help you quickly. Meaning.
Tochukwu McFoy, Dr. Foy.
Thank you so much.
Entertainment, marketing, and brand strategist. Thank you so much for the work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh boy, what a day it's been. Thank you so much for your time and company. We hope you have a great day ahead. And of course, sunrise is coming up at the top of the hour. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo.
Don't forget, as we've heard from Dr. Foy, let's drive our collective consciousness towards the value of Nigeria being authentic and good. Join us again tomorrow. We'll be back again. I am Bukola Koka.
Since we're all quoting Dr. Foy, let me just add by saying find your definition and also find your meaning. I'm Kayode Kikile. Goodbye.